All right, my next guest will face Wilson Reis next on August the 1st for Cage Warriors 126. And of course, it is Johnny Campbell. Johnny, how are you?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you. How are you doing, Ryan?
I'm good, man. I'm happy to have you back on the show. And you got another big fight against a UFC veteran, a very well-known, decorated fighter. We're going to dive into all that here shortly. But first, I do want to just start with your most recent fight. I haven't had a chance to talk to you since you beat Henry Corrales. And as I was saying to you before we went live, holy smokes, man, what a win over a very tough guy. This guy only loses to the best, man. And you went in there and finished him. How good did that feel?
It was to date the best feeling that I've ever had in the cage. Just being such an underdog, so many people telling me how tough and how good he is, and that he hits hard, that he's going to be huge at 135. And then to just go in and be 100% myself and just take him out. It felt so damn good. It was the most fun I've ever had, I think, in the cage. I mean, if you watch closely with the volume up, I mean, I'm like chattering with him during the fight. I'm laughing. I'm making funny noises. It was just the most fun, literally till the very last minute. It was just the most fun that I've ever had. And then to be able to like go WWF and like, you know, do a call out after. And I wasn't sure that they were going to interview me. In fact, I don't think they had interviewed like the first 3 fights. So when I won and they were like, oh, you're talking to Big John, I was lit. I was so fucking happy. I was like, yep, I knew in my head I had seen myself talking on the mic, but I didn't know for sure that they were going to have me. And whenever they put me in front of Big John, man, it was like a dream come true. I just had so much fun.
And you said before we went live here today that you visualized you winning that fight. Tell me how that all played out in your head.
Yeah, literally, I just, knowing that he's a boxer and that I am so unpredictable and that I have power in all 4 of my limbs. I had been saying many times in interviews before that fight that I was going to hit him on the head. I was going to make his brain shake, and then I was going to finish that fight. And then sure enough, it's exactly what happened. I mean, I took like maybe a couple more punches. The angles of that fight were not very forgiving. I took a lot of punches on like the shoulder that sounded like they were landing, but they weren't. So, man, to like not really get hit much and then to hit him the way that I did, it was exactly what I was envisioning in my head. I mean, when I'm in here working and doing interval rounds on the bag and stuff, I am trying to knock somebody out, and I am, you know, seeing it in my head. I'm seeing these punches whiz in and smash people on the head. And then when I do the ground and pound bag, it is exactly what I did to Corrales. I mean, it's just not even funny how alike my conditioning rounds are, and then the fights just go the same way. It's like when I'm ground and pounding on Corrales, those are the exact type of strikes I'm throwing on the ground and pound bag in practice. And then he's just turning over, and, you know, a fucking savage he is, and he's just giving me his neck because he wants out of the cage with Cupcakes.
Man, and that was your Bellator debut. I think it's safe to say that that was the highest profile fight that you've had thus far. Did you feel any extra nerves going into that fight, or was it more just excitement?
Yeah, no, it was so natural and felt so normal. I've fought on so many different cards, so many different platforms, and just being out back in my own dressing room, and you know, I'm seeing these freaking killer Bellator veterans all hanging out. You got like famous coaches who are holding pads for like UFC vets and things out back, and I'm like, and it just felt so natural, just like I'm totally another fight. And that's, you know, Wilson Reis would be the exact same thing. It's just another cage, another man, and another opportunity for me to have the most fun that I've ever had. And that's what fighting is to me and for me. It's the most fun that I've ever had. I love every part about it. And every time I get to do it, you're watching me do the thing that I love the most.
Tell me, you know, how has camp been thus far at South Shore Sport Fighting? You got a bunch of killers there getting you ready for this big fight. How you feeling?
Better than ever, even better than before the Corrales fight. You know, I had maybe 5 more days to prepare for this fight, so it's been just perfect. I've been doing quite a bit of rounds with Ken Moy, who is not really a South Shore Sport fighter, but is just obviously one of the best athletes in the area, and he has just given himself to me basically. And he's like perfectly as far as shape goes. You know, he's a little shorter, a little stockier. He has great wrestling, and then his striking is so much better than Wilson's. It's really just like, man, if I'm taking it to Ken in any way and striking, then I'm going to be demolishing somebody like Wilson Reis. So it's been so perfect, you know, guys like Zach DiSabatino in here, who again, like a little bit shorter, more compact fellow, perfect training partner. Yeah, we got a lot of like smaller guys, a lot of unknown people in my gym, South Shore, and I did 5 hard rounds of jiu-jitsu, sort of like an MMA fight type of pace last night, with just grappling, and all lighter guys under like 160. But talented and really forcing me to be the best Cupcakes that I have to be. So camp has been so good. I'm just perfect.
I believe I saw on social media recently that Joe Giannetti has a fight lined up. So how is he looking? And what about Manny Bermudez? What's the deal with him right now?
So Joe is out at ATT. I haven't really seen him all that much, unfortunately. So he's been looking sharper and sharper every single time. I mean, sometimes you lose fights and it makes you grow more than 10 wins could. And I think that that's kind of what is happening with Jojo. He's getting so comfortable because when you lose, there's a I don't give a fuck mentality that comes from that. And I feel like that's where Joe is at right now. He's really trying and has been putting the pieces together. His strength is getting better. His power is getting more real, and then his jiu-jitsu is always just so good that I'm really looking forward to seeing what Jojo does in the very near future. And then with Manny, he's actually going to be boxing, so he's taking a boxing match at like 168, I think it is. And the kid's got dangerous power in his hands, so any boxer who looks at him like, oh, just an MMA fighter, is going to be very, very mistaken when they get in there with him. And he always and still helping me improve my game all the time, especially with the stand-up. He's bringing my precision to another level, and I really appreciate him.
Yeah, with all the great partners that you have at South Shore, and then that big win that you just picked up over Corrales and Bellator, your confidence has to be at an all-time high right now. Can you kind of put it into words how you're feeling mentally and how that's lining up with your skill set when you actually go out there and compete?
Yeah, it is unlike it has ever been in my career. So, being 21-13, people have a mental picture of that fighter, and it is so different. You know, Bellator picked me up to fight Henry Corrales, and surely they thought that he would win that fight. They looked at my record like, oh, 20-13. There's no way statistically this guy is going to beat Henry Corrales. But when I'm in that cage, I'm not 21-13 anymore. I'm just the greatest martial artist I've ever been. And I'm more comfortable and more confident than I've ever been in my skills. For a long time, I was fighting, not really knowing who I was or what I was. I compared myself to animals like Manny Bermudez or Josh Crispy at the time. And I was like, well, that's not me. I'm definitely not one of them. But because I said that to myself, I didn't allow myself to really be who I truly am. And when I knocked down Dan Dubuque, man, that was like the defining moment in my brain where I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. I have knockout power, and there's no reason for me to not be using it. And then when you watch me against Henry Corrales, people are like, this dude only throws power shots. And it's like, yeah, that wasn't who I was for a long time. You know, I used to try to point fight and win decisions like a fucking goofball. And now I just want to hurt these people as fast as possible, efficiently, get out, get my check, and then stamp my name into the history books. And that's what we're doing. Confidence, I can't even say in words how unbelievably confident I am in what I do. I can knock people out with all. I can wrestle offensively and defensively. My jiu-jitsu, I'm a brown belt, soon to be black belt, where I have submission skills and defensive skills. I feel like one of the best fighters to ever touch this planet. That's how confident I am.
And that's a scary thought for whoever's standing across the cage from you next. I did want to get your take too on a guy that you fought and beat before, and that's Chris Messina. He went in and got a short notice fight with the UFC, a huge underdog against Sean O'Malley, and comes out literally like almost like a victor in a lot of ways, just because of how tough he looked and how he hung in there with a guy as seasoned on the feet as O'Malley is. And I did see that you made a post saying that, hey, maybe that's a fight that we can run back. You've already beat him. So when you think about it now, I mean, he's where you want to be, right? The UFC is where everyone in your shoes wants to be. So how realistic do you feel like getting that rematch with him is? Is it 2 fights away? Is it 3 fights? Like how close are you?
Yeah, I think that we are very, very close. I think that after watching my performance against Corrales, it's like, how do you not want to see me in there against the top of the top? It's just like so obvious watching that fight that I belong against the best in the world. So, I mean, as of right now, I'm thinking maybe 1 fight. And then Chris, he's talking about going down to 125 potentially. So, man, if he stays at 135, I really do think that I'm the best fight for him in the UFC. It's like, who else does he match up well against at 135? There aren't many. And, I think that everybody in that bantamweight division is going to be calling that motherfucker out. So he'd probably be lucky to drag me in that UFC. I mean, I'm going to beat the living hell out of him. I would knock him out again. I 100%. I think I beat Chris and I beat Sean O'Malley on the same goddamn night, because O'Malley broke his hands on Chris's head, and I knocked Chris down twice and then elbowed him until the ref saved his life. Man, I think we're very, 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 very close to that being a realistic thing.
That's an exciting thought, man. I'm very intrigued to see what happens for you next, especially if you get this win over Wilson. Now, obviously, Cage Warriors, a huge promotion. It's going to be in San Diego, California, which is awesome. That's just such a fantastic area. When do you fly out to Cali, and what's the whole, fight week going to look like as far as media and all the obligations you have to do?
Yeah, so Thursday is the flight out. But we're breaking news right now. So Wilson Reis just pulled out of the fight about 30 minutes before we spoke. We started talking. He hurt himself in his last hard sparring. My last hard sparring was Sunday of last week. So I don't know what he's doing hard sparring a week before the fight. But I truly believe that he saw a few interviews lately, and I don't think he wants to be in the cage with me. I think he had a mental picture of who I was, and I think the more he got to know me, the less he wanted to fight me. It makes zero sense that a UFC veteran of like 40 fights would hurt himself the last week of training, but that's where we're at. So they're officially looking for replacements, but it doesn't look promising. I mean, being just straight to Bellator hit me up about a week ago about an August 13th opportunity. So we may be pivoting that quickly to August 13th. But as of right now, unfortunately, this is the first anyone's hearing of it. Wilson Reis is out.
Oh, that is terrible news. I'm really sorry to hear that, man. So are you still potentially going to be flying there, and they're going to try and find a replacement fighter for you?
Yeah, I believe so. They're looking for it right now. I mean, I've spent about $1,200 in the last 2 weeks with 1 plane ticket and then medicals that California is just like irrationally expecting everyone to get. They just have way stricter standards than most states. So I needed to go out last minute, get some new medicals. Cost me about $500 just to do that. Plane ticket about $700. So it's bananas. But this is like the fight game. So I know that however this ends up working out, it's going to benefit me in some way. But my plan is to stay on weight and be ready for Cage Warriors to tell me they have a new opponent. I was really looking forward to it being Wilson Reis, though. And now it appears that it is not going to be so.
Jeez, man. Again, I'm really sorry to hear that.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that they can't find a short notice replacement for you, and you have to pivot and fight for Bellator on that August 13th card. Is there someone that comes to mind that you'd like to fight? Like, go ahead and shoot your shot, man. Like, is there someone that you feel like would make sense?
Yeah, there's tons of guys that would make a lot of sense, but they have a specific name already lined up for me, so we know the exact fighter that it is. I may be a little reluctant to say the name, but he fought recently. He beat a very high caliber guy. The biggest issues is that he's like 5'10", so it would be a very similar game plan to Reyes, but he's about 6 inches taller than Reyes, so it makes the fight very, very different. So yeah, right now I'm giving Cage Warriors their opportunity to find somebody. I don't want to just bail on them as of right now. Plus, I'm invested some money in that fight, so I'm really trying to get out to San Diego. But the pay for Bellator is like 5 times what Cage Warriors pays. So yeah, I don't know. It's a win-win-win for me at this point. So we'll see exactly in the coming days what takes place, but yeah, it's looking possibly like Bellator. I guess CES has a card coming up as well. My name's already in for a potential slot there as well. So I mean, we are hungry, we're in shape, we're on weight, and I want to fight.
Well, Johnny, I appreciate you giving me some time here today and breaking this news here with me. Again, I'm really sorry about this unfortunate update here. However, Cage Warriors, they could find you a replacement fighter, and that would be on August 1st in San Diego, California. And who doesn't want to visit San Diego, California, right? I mean, that's a pretty nice place to go, even if for a short period of time. But I'd love to catch up with you here once you get some more news as to who you're fighting, whether it is for Cage Warriors or Bellator. Until then, man, I wish you nothing but the best. Stay positive. Yeah, of course, man. Before I let you go, I want to give you the floor. If there's anyone you want to thank, any sponsors you have, floor is yours.
Yeah, I gotta just thank South Shore Sport Fighting and Top Game Management right now is handling business for me, so that's freaking great. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I mean, the Cage Titans family always, they literally built this machine that I am right now. So so much thanks to the Cage Titans family. Just get at me on Instagram and Twitter at Johnny CC MMA, and then on Facebook it's Cupcakes Johnny Campbell. So yeah, I'd appreciate the follows and all the love, and thank you. I wish that we could be talking more in depth about the Wilson fight. So yeah, I didn't know how to handle it. I figured we'd come on and just break the news right here.
Well, again, man, I apologize for what's going down, but I'm sure whatever happens here moving forward, you're going to be just fine. You clearly have a very bright future, and everyone's excited to see you climb back into the cage, regardless of who it's against or for what promotion it is for. So, again, thanks, Johnny. Look forward to chatting again soon, brother.
Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate your time. You have a great rest of the day.